Actually, there is no such thing called suffering. Suffering is a state where you have lost the existing happiness. What all I should do to get the God power? Nothing. Instead, you need to know what all I should not do, that which will keep me away from the God power. The second is very obvious. I've explained a lot of time. Impatience. Because when you are in impatience, you are creating resistance for your own self. And the third one is, there is only one God and that God is within you. Aham Brahmasmi. Or God in you is the only God for you. See, in spite of having the God power, why is that I am suffering? It's a very fundamental question and it's a really a very logical question. Simple. If you are God, that doesn't mean that you should not suffer. Even if you are God, that is where starts your responsibility not to do anything that which will spoil the existing happiness. Actually, there is no such thing called suffering. Suffering is a state where you have lost the existing happiness. So the first and foremost thing you need to realize is, there is a divine power. Let's not use the word God power because each one of you will have your own God in your mind. There is a divine power. That power is always within you and functioning for you, but still why it is not helping you when you want the real help. For that you need to know what all I should do to get the God power? Nothing. Instead you need to know what all I should not do, that which will keep me away from the God power, or that will keep me away from the God energy or the divine power or the divine consciousness. It is your conscious mistake to curse your own self. Maybe this is a very bigger word. Keep it in this way. Misconduct with the self. There are three things which will keep you away from the God power working for you, or that is which is already working for you. The first one is misconduct with the self. Actually, it is a self-cursing, but you keep it in this way. You are studying in a school. Finally, you want to get the TC because you're going for another state or for another city, and you will continue your education from where you left it. But to get you appointed in the next school, the previous school has to provide you a conduct certificate along with the TC. Similarly, next stage in life has to be approved by the divine energy which is always functioning in this world. So you are misbehaving with someone, that can be easily overcome. But when you are misbehaving with your own self, misconduct with the self is the first reason. The second is very obvious. I've explained a lot of time. Impatience. Because when you are in impatience, you are creating resistance for your own self. And the third one is you getting involved in negative self-talk, not even thinking. Because when you're thinking, it is still not expressed. When you keep talking negative about your own self, there is no point in you believing in God. Negative self-talk about the self. So first one is what? Misconduct with the self. I don't want to use the word self-curse, so I'm replacing with what? Misconduct with the self. The second is what? Impatience. The third is what? Negative self-talk about the self. So I'm not going to talk about this impatience. I'm not going to talk about this negative self-talk about the self. You take effort to understand about it, and you also know about it already. If you're an Atma Yogi, you must be knowing about it already. But what is the first one? Misconduct with the self, or which is taken as a self-curse for my own self, which is acting as a block for my own growth. In this misconduct with the self, there are three factors which you need to be aware about. You have no other choice. First one, having equals for God. Most of the people, train themselves with a mental power to achieve patience. And of course, in this present world, they speak too much of positive words without the significance. But the first factor, the misconduct with the self, is having equals for God. There is only one God and that God is within you. Aham Brahmasmi. Or God in you is the only God for you. The great souls the unexplainable people have lived in this world who have realized this truth, like Muhammad, Jesus, Agastya, Adi Shankara. Many more such holy people available in this world which you are not aware about. We are only aware about 0.1%. We are not aware about the remaining, such a huge number of holy people who have lived in this world, and that too are presently living. It can be your own grandfather, it can be your own father, but that is not the point here. You accepting them or you believing in God is not going to change your life. You should not commit the first sin and the foremost bigger mistake. It is your duty to realize that is the highest truth of Advaita, Upanishad, Quran, Bible, everything. The first thing in misconduct with the self is what? Having equals for God. Because as a human being, till we understand, we operate out of belief system and fear and faith. And even if we fail to do that, at least it is time to realize there is no equals for God. God in you is the only God for you. And God is one, which is the same with everyone. The God which is within me is the God which is within you. You should train yourself to see God in everything, every place and every time. Sometimes you believe, I believe in this God Guruji, this God is for money. I believe in that God Guruji, that God is only for acquiring land and property. I believe in that God Guruji, that God is only give me, all the power for education. Then there itself the sin starts. The same God you are praying in different name. The same God in different religion, people are, honoring and respecting and experiencing the changes through the presence of that same God in different name. So you need to accept this. From this moment, tell yourself, in spite of having the God power, what keeps me away from the God power is me having equals for God. That God is not outside of you, it is within you. Okay, now you have accepted this. What is the second thing that is a misconduct with the self? Having no vision. Even with your God, God is ready to bless you with anything and everything, but you not having any vision, there is no such thing called a positive change which will never happen to us. Which will never happen to us. The mistake is not from the God power. The divine power is ready to bless you with the goal or bless you with a purpose. But do you have a purpose? You need to take that effort. That doesn't mean you need to have a same purpose like realizing God, living as an pure yogi, not that one. Simple changes that you want to see in life. Are you clear about the changes which you want to see as changes for you? 24/7 you are in discussion about someone's life or changes that you are seeing in others' life or not able to accept the changes that is happening in your life. Start from there. If you are not able to accept the changes that is happening in your life, then what is the change that you will rejoice? Make that change as your vision. Now with God power, understanding that there is no equal to God and God is already ready to give you everything, and now with this vision, miracle will start happening. Many people will do the fundamental mistake of saying, Guruji, I have accepted God and I also have a vision. Why it is not happening to me still? Because you're not doing it with fun, you're not doing it with joy, you're not doing it with commitment. Most of the people have the vision as a big burden in their mind. I have a vision, Guruji. I have a goal, Guruji. I have this dream, Guruji. I want to accomplish this big thing. Drop that. First accept there is God and realize that if I have equals for God, then that is the biggest sin. There is no equals for God. God alone is God. Donkey, monkey, stone, or some, shape and size. These are all through which you connect yourself not to deviate into a wrong discipline. But once you evolve yourself, it is your duty to realize God alone is God. Aham Brahmasmi. Nirguna Parabrahmam. It's okay. So the second one is what? Having a vision. A simple clarity about the changes that you want to experience. Not having the vision is a second misconduct with the self. And the third one, you're having the vision. You realize that God is within you, but still you're not having any joy and commitment towards the vision when you're getting into action. You're getting into action as if it is a big burden, as if you're doing something for someone. These are things which you're doing for yourself to bring changes not only for you. With this understanding, you're not changing one person, you're changing your entire generation. So this is how life has to happen. And now you tell for yourself, it is not that God is not blessing me or God is not helping me. God is always within me. But what keeps me away from experiencing the God energy, or what keeps me totally not receiving the God power which is already available with me, is only these three things. Misconduct with the self, impatience, and finally it is negative self-talk about the self. So in this misconduct about the self, the first one is what? It is realizing there is no equals for God. If we fail to do that, that is a misconduct with the self. Second, having no vision. Third one, getting into action without joy and commitment with the vision. So let's talk only about this three part. Take effort and create a vision and be, happy knowing that that vision is going to be granted to you, because you are not going to do it by your own self. You are going to achieve it with full blessings or by the power which is within you, which is nothing but God power. Which is nothing but God power. So from now, don't repeat the mistake of remembering God or having equals for God. Instead, recognize God. Because you will remember me only when I am not available with you. You've gone to study, you've gone to an US, UK to take some education, or you have moved from one city to other city. Your parents are living in one city and you are living in other city. When your parents are not with you, you remember your parent. But God is not like that. Oh, this is the reason God has told me not to have equals for God. Because when you think only in particular place, only in particular temple God is available, those are places to rejoice God and to show your respect to God. But God is not only available only in the temple, not only present only in the temple. He is present everywhere, every time and in everyone. This is called recognize God. Train yourself to see God in everything, every time and in every place. Now you will not remember God. Once you recognize God, you will realize that God power is already within me. Once you realize that God power is within you, you want it or not, automatically that God power will start utilizing you to achieve the bigger purpose for which you have come to this planet Earth. For which you have come to this planet Earth. So whatever you have understood, I leave it to you. But I want you to understand this one thing, what I want to say to you. It is not that I want to say to you. It is not that I want to make you understand. This is what God wants you to understand. It is accepted. You cannot go and change what has happened in the beginning or from where you have started. But you want it or not, even in this present moment, by the time you're listening, God has blessed you with the power to make a new beginning and create an ending in a way you want. In fact, much more better and bigger than what you have expected for your own self. And that will happen for sure. And once you know this, this is the real realization of God. Realizing God is not saying I have God within me and God will give me everything. Realizing what you have as you desire is going to happen to you more easily and effortlessly, not because of your power, but through the God power which is within you. And now you tell yourself, yes, it is a fact that I cannot go and change what has happened to me in the past or what has happened to me in the beginning or from where I started. Even though the beginning is not in a way you want, still don't bother about it. You can still make a new beginning and create an ending that you wanted to live. So tell yourself, by understanding this, I also realize the life I want to live is ready already. Is ready already. Just that I need to keep myself ready to live the life that I want to live. And that is called self-realization. Aham Brahmasmi.